Hi, my name is David Poland, and I'd like to welcome you to Portland Film Beat. My guest tonight is Dustin Morrow. He is an award-winning filmmaker, director, and writer of over 30 films, an author, programmer, and educator. He is currently a professor at Portland State University, where he teaches courses in digital, cinema production, and film studies. Professor Morrow's short and feature films have won numerous awards and been shown in major film festivals and other venues around the world. He has written extensively about film and pop culture. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And for a host of online and print publications. Let's get started. First of all, welcome aboard. I'm really glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show.
And where did you train?
I studied cinema at the University of Iowa, which has one of the sort of foremost film programs in experimental cinema and avant-garde cinema.
Right. You wouldn't think of Iowa.
You wouldn't think of it, except if you go there, if you ever visit Iowa City, it will make sense because it's an extremely progressive, liberal, scholarly city. It's home to the Iowa Writers Workshop, which is the greatest writing workshop in the world. It's an amazingly liberal, artistic, bohemian city. It's not unlike Portland, just much smaller.
Okay, you're great. And what first got you interested in film?
Boy, that's it was probably, you know, it was the invention of the VCR. It was getting a VCR as a kid. My family got a VCR, and well, you'll have to explain to your younger viewers what a VCR is.
Yeah, you will.
But for those of you that know, it was for me.
And a camera this big?
Yeah, and a camera that big. That was my first video camera. It was one of those ones you had to carry on your shoulder. So
you could only carry it for 20 minutes before your arm.
Yeah, it was like this because they were like 9 pounds.
Yeah.
The VCR gave me the opportunity to play scenes back, slow them down, pause them, rewind them over and over again to really study film in a way that you couldn't before because you didn't have that kind of playback access.
Right, and you don't have to pay for all the cellulite type film, which was expensive. And then
yeah,
you have
absolutely.
To get it, you have to get it processed.
Yeah, so I could shoot on tape. I could make really bad movies. I could make mistakes as a filmmaker. I could, and I could learn from my mistakes and you know, work cheap in the beginning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Everything Went Down. Let's talk about that film because that's your most recent film, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it your favorite film?
I don't know if it's my favorite. I've been living with it for the last couple of years now, showing it in film festivals and all kinds of venues. And
it's actually on demand.
It is on demand now. It's sort of completed. It's wrapping up its festival run.
Is it on Netflix as well and stuff like that?
It's on Hulu.
Hulu, okay.
Indie Rain, Vimeo on Demand, Amazon Instant, VHX, a couple others. Yeah.
So people can find it if they really want to.
Yeah, it's not hard to find.
So what's the premise of Everything Went Down? We're going to watch the trailer for it in a few minutes, but.
Yeah, sure. Everything Went Down is the story of a young professor who has been widowed. He's lost his wife 2 years prior to the beginning of the movie, and he's sort of shut himself off from the world in his grief and his depression. He discovers the music of this young singer-songwriter who's struggling. And through his love of her music, he kind of learns to come out of his depression and comes back into the world. It's a musical. It's about the healing power of music and the arts, its capacity to make our lives better.
Wow, yeah. And it's about a professor who lost someone. And so how did you develop the storyline? Do you have an emotional connection to it? Well,
I think everybody has an emotional history with music. I think everybody can think of an experience in their life where a song or an album or an artist's music was there for them to comfort them in some way.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we've all been dumped, right? Everybody got dumped in high school. And in high school, you had like, whether for, you know, from my generation, it was like the Replacements and the Smiths and the Police and artists like that, and you buried yourself in their music to make you feel better as you nursed a broken heart. So I think I had that connection to it. But really, what I wanted to do was I wanted to tell a story about the healing power of the arts because I had experience working with music therapy programs for children, and I had the first-hand experience of seeing how music physiologically could heal somebody, not just emotionally,
Right.
but physically. Engaging with music, with songwriting and composing music, can make you heal faster than if
I
you
believe
don't.
it. I mean, there's times where you're in the dumps and you hear a song and
Yeah.
it takes
And
you
they've
out. And
done-
actually, you feel physically down, but then all of a sudden you feel a little bit of an effervescent feeling. You're alive again.
Yeah, I did a lot of reading about the science of why this works. I actually gave a TED talk about this.
You gave a TED talk?
Yeah, last year about this very issue.
Okay,
and
so
about
it's
my,
out- is it out
and
there
about
on,
my film. It
YouTube?
is. You can watch it on YouTube. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it is it was about the science of how music engages your brain. And they've done a lot of research, for example, with Alzheimer's patients. People that can't remember what they had for lunch 2 hours earlier can remember every word to a song that they haven't heard in 50 years.
Right.
So the question is, why is that?
Yeah.
Why is it that music is able to
Right.
engage us neurologically in ways that
Right.
other arts and other endeavors don't?
Oh, wow, that's fabulous. You know what, actually, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we're going to cut away to the trailer for Everything Went Down. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that. We'll be right back.
I won't be the first to leave.
I'm Will.
Baby, you can
Chelsea.
count on me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Meet me in the morning and we'll wash away your sins. I won't be the first to leave.
You still dream about her?
Baby, don't you go.
I just want to go on record and say that if you give up on your music, it'll be a huge mistake.
Stay with me till morning, yeah, we'll talk it over then. You don't have to go tonight. Maybe we should go tonight.
I've been listening to your album a lot, over and over. Like, I don't know, there's something about it. There's something. I haven't listened to music much in a couple of years, but I'm listening to you all the time.
So why me?
I don't know. I think you can connect to music in a lot of different ways. Like, you can connect intellectually, where you appreciate the mechanics and the structure of the song, or you can connect emotionally, where a song just breaks your heart or lifts you to the sky.
So, does my music break your heart or lift you to the sky?
Maybe you should stay tonight.
I really liked the trailer. It was well shot. And actually, the bridge behind us is from the film.
Yeah, that's a shot from the movie. Actually.
Right.
Yeah, that was at Deception Pass on
Okay, and-
Whidbey Island.
You shot it up there in Whidbey Island and Bellingham?
Bellingham. Most of it was shot in Bellingham and around Bellingham, Mount Baker, and some of it on Whidbey Island. Yeah.
And you told me something beforehand about Bellingham, that it's kind of a hidden.
Oh, I think it's a completely undiscovered city in terms of as a shooting location. It is jaw-droppingly beautiful. Every place you go in Bellingham, every corner you come around is some kind of cinematic vista. And
Is
I
that
think
right?
that, yeah.
And you have an eye for that. You're looking for it all the time, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had visited there a number of times before because my sister is a professor at Western Washington University, which is in Bellingham. And so every time I went to see her, I was like, this city needs to be in a movie because the city is absolutely stunning, and
Cool.
I haven't seen it in a film before. And so I just wanted to get there first. It's hard to frame a shot in Bellingham that isn't really, really pretty.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Getting back to Everything Went Down the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
When he says, I wrote a little note here, I think about the music a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, is he thinking about Herbert a lot too?
Well, yeah.
It seems to me that the
Yeah.
subtext is
Yes.
he's really falling for this girl, and it's
Well,
healing him.
Yeah,
The
it's
music
actually
and her.
it is a love story, but it's a love story about a friendship, not about a romantic love. It is very much about their relationship, and it's not just that he heals. When at the time that the movie starts, she's sort of giving up on music. She's tired of trying to make a career out of her art, and so she's really kind of ready to put it aside. And he kind of reminds her of why she started making music to begin with, which is, that music is its own reward. You don't make music because you want to get famous. You don't make music because you want to get rich. You make music because you like music and you like telling
Right.
stories. And so she kind of comes back to that through him. So they learn
So they
from each other.
actually help each other.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's awesome. What are a few things you learned making Everything Went Down?
Well, Everything Went Down was an interesting experiment because before I made it, I wanted to, I knew that I wanted to make a musical, and I had known for a number of years that I wanted to make a musical, but I didn't want to make anything that
What
was.
I like about it is it's not the musical with all the flash and pizzazz.
Well,
and,
exactly. Like I didn't want to make.
Whoa.
Yes, there are no scenes like that in the movie. That's my next one.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to make something where they just started like tap dancing down the street and sort of singing, non-diegetically. I wanted all of the music that happens in the movie to be there because people are playing music and making music in the film.
Right.
And the film that kind of made me realize you could do that was the Irish film Once, which came out back in like 2007 or 8. It's since gone on to become a Broadway play, actually. And that movie was a very, very low budget, shot on video musical. And it was the first time that I had seen a musical that looked really raw and felt really real. And I thought, that's how I want to do this. I want to do my musical in the way that it feels like it removes the sort of what you're talking about, the kind of facade of Hollywood glamour and flash and that kind of phoniness that kind of comes with most musicals. And I love I'm not putting those films down, I love those films. I just didn't want to make that type of film.
Okay, right, all right.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the school and all the other questions I have, how does Everything Went Down primarily differentiate or distinguish itself from other films like it?
Well, I mean, this sounds presumptuous, but there aren't too many other films like it. The film that is probably most like it is Once. That was probably the film that had the greatest impact on me. And, loving kind of small, intimate films that are just about focus on a very small number of characters.
Yeah.
So that you spend all of your time with them, that you really get to know them. So, I could say that there were influences from like John Cassavetes and some, historically great independent cinema films that tell very small stories about people.
John Cassavetes did a lot of really great films. A lot of people don't realize some of the things
Yeah,
he did.
the thing I really loved about his movies and the thing I was thinking about when I was making this was just how incredibly intimate they felt and how real they feel. They don't
Right.
feel
That's
scripted.
good. I'm glad you said that. This
yeah.
film does feel intimate.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
It did. I didn't even, until you said that, I experienced it, but I didn't think it.
Yeah, that was the
Now
idea.
we just told the audience what they're going to be feeling.
Well, there you go.
There you are.
An intimate evening.
An intimate
with my
evening
movie.
with Everything Went Down.
There you go.
Tell us about the Portland State Film Program, and well, just tell us about it.
Yeah, I started there. I started there 4 years. The program itself is like maybe 8 years old, so it's relatively new. But we've really established ourselves as one of the premier programs for film studies and film production in the American Pacific Northwest. We're one of the fastest growing majors at Portland State. We're one of the only places in the Northwest to study film at a big 4-year liberal arts university. It's a great program. It's an interdisciplinary major.
Were you the one who kind of pushed for that and moved it in that direction?
Well,
Because we really don't hear that much about Portland State. We hear about other arts, other film programs.
Yeah,
here.
our program is really up and coming. It's growing every single term. We have hundreds of majors now. which I think makes us maybe the biggest program in the
So
city.
it's like you have film studies, film history, but then also about being a cinematographer, a director?
Yeah, that's why they brought me in. It was a film history and film studies program, and then they hired me to come in and kind of help to set up a film production curriculum. So now we have students studying producing, screenwriting, cinematography, editing, sound mixing, the
So
works.
they bought all kinds of equipment, cameras and lights and everything to support that?
We have a full studio they can shoot in, and an equipment space that,
Is it a green
that
screen
has all
studio?
kinds of cameras. We do have a green screen.
There you go.
Yeah, we have all kinds of great toys for students
Good.
to
We
come
wanna
play
have
with
kids
and make
come.
whatever films they want to make. Yeah.
Right, that's awesome. So your short experimental films have screened in festivals around the world. Just tell us more about those films.
The experimental films
30
that
of them,
I make.
is that right?
Yeah, there's somewhere around that. I mean, I've been making them for over 15 years. So
Wow.
there's a lot of them. The reason I make those is because I come off of these sort of longer projects like Everything Went Down, which is a big feature film. And there are rules when you're making a narrative film. You have to tell a story in 3 acts. You have to have a screenplay, and you have to have actors, and there are sort of conventions that you
Right.
can't get away from.
And you have to do it in a certain time frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Older
And-
films, they used to take 2 hours, not so much anymore. They
Yeah.
like to get it done in 90 minutes.
Yeah, so for me, the little experimental films, the avant-garde films, are just that. It's a way for me to creatively kind of recharge my batteries, to do
Okay,
something
good.
that's small and something that I
Doable in
can
a
just
couple
do by
weekends.
myself, and I don't have to work with a big crew. I can just make it on my own, and I can really, over a few weekends or however long, and I can just experiment with form or technique or color or sound and kind of
Do you do your own
explore
editing
spaces.
then?
Absolutely.
Is that right? Did you edit Everything Went Down?
I did, yeah.
And did you do the sound design on it?
I didn't do the sound design, but
Okay.
I did cut it, yeah.
All right, good. Is it because you can't do sound design well and
Uh,
somebody else can?
That's exactly it.
No, I'm
yes.
glad you said that. That's honest.
You have to know where you
have to
your
know what
strengths
you
and your
can and can't
weaknesses.
do. And if you want to make a great film and a great story, know your limitations. Say, I can't do this part. Please do this for me.
Yeah, work with good people. Good
Right.
people
No,
will
I'm
only
glad you
make your
said that.
films
Because so
better.
many people want to be the auteur who does everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good that you want to do the editing and the shooting and all these things, but you know your limitations. That is a really good thing. You authored Producing for TV and New Media, and you're working on a new book. Tell us about both of those.
Yeah, producing for TV and new media is it's
Is
a
that a-
textbook.
It's a textbook for colleges.
It is. Yeah, it's being used at universities across the country. It's available in 30 countries around the world.
Also, it's been transformed
It has.
in
Yeah,
other languages.
It was published by Focal Press, which is the largest trade press for film and video texts. So that was a book I actually wrote with my sister, who is a graphic designer and a new media artist up in Bellingham. And the new book is a collaborative book about the relationship between actors and directors, and I'm writing that with the legendary stage and screen actress Kathleen Turner.
Right. Is she a director as well?
She's directed.
So then she can talk about both sides of the coin on that. then.
Yeah, I kind of bring the director's perspective, and she kind of comes as an actor, and
Okay.
and the book is constructed of about 400 pages of conversations that we have
Wow.
about the minutia of the art of acting and the art of directing.
Okay. You've worked as an educator abroad too.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about where and what you've done.
Yeah, I have directed programs in Dublin, Ireland, and London, England, and directed or taught for a documentary program in Northern Ireland.
Are these year-long programs or just summer type things?
They're summer programs,
Okay.
and we actually have a new one that we're launching this summer. I'm taking 20 students from Portland State and from the University of Oregon down in Eugene, 20 film students, over to spend the summer in Dublin, Ireland, and we're going to study Irish film history and Irish culture, and they're going to make films in the city of Dublin.
Right. When is this book? Let's get back to the book. When's it supposed to be published?
The
new
book,
one.
right? We're shopping it to publishers now, and so it's probably going to come out maybe next summer. Yeah.
Great. Oh, so the book's almost done, or is close to done.
The book is basically done. I mean, once an editor at a publisher gets a hold of it, they're going to have all kinds of changes they're probably going to want to make. But I suspect that it will probably be out in the middle of next year.
Okay. You've worked on some Hollywood productions, some actual Hollywood feature films.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience and what films you've worked on. What capacity did you work on the film?
When I worked in Hollywood, I worked there for several years, and I was primarily an editor. I got to direct a few kind of small things, but I was primarily an editor, and I primarily cut short form things. So stuff like music videos,
Okay.
trailers, commercials. That actually ended up being good for me because I found that unless I'm working on my own project, I tend to kind of develop a short attention span. So working on small things like trailers or music videos or commercials worked well for me because just when I was getting tired of a project, I could be on to something else the next week. Yeah.
And that kind of comes out when you talk about making Everything Went Down as a long one. Then you need to make a couple of short experimental things.
That's exactly
to get your
it. Just to
back.
recharge your batteries, to like
Okay.
get your creative juices flowing again.
Any feature films?
What you mean that I'm working on now?
No, in Hollywood, did you work on any feature films down there?
Just on the post production of their marketing, like
Oh,
their
really? Okay,
trailers
the trailer
and stuff like
uh-huh.
that. Yeah.
So how do you work with actors?
I like to shoot multiple cameras so I can have actors play really long scenes without having to reset lights or reset cameras.
Okay, so you have over the shoulder, over like a camera on each actor at the same time.
Yeah, more than that. In Everything Went Down, I had up to 6 cameras.
6 cameras
running simultaneously, and one of the reasons I did that was because one of the lead actors in the movie is a non-actor. She had never acted before.
Oh, the one playing.
Yeah,
she
the
did
lead
a great
actress.
job.
She's amazing in it. Every film festival I've shown it at, everybody I've shown it to is like, holy cow, she's incredible, and she is. She's really, really good. I wanted to give her the chance to play scenes, really long scenes, like 4 or 5 pages of dialogue at a time, rather than the way that sometimes you have to work in film where you shoot like one line and you have to set you have to move the camera, move the lights, and then you shoot the next line.
Well, you shoot one actor, then you move everything.
You shoot one
both,
actor,
but
then
to
shoot
edit
the
it
other
together,
actor. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't want to do that on this movie. I wanted them to be able to, almost do it like a play.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it made their performances feel more natural. And again, intimacy that we were talking about kind of made the whole thing feel more intimate, more small, which is what I was looking for.
I think some films are over-edited. There's
Well,
like
yeah, you don't have to tell me I used to be an editor. So
Okay, yeah,
yes.
there you are. Anyway, can you name some of the actors and crew members for Everything Went Down?
The lead is Noah Drew. He's a Canadian theater artist. He's won a lot of awards. He's very respected. He actually is taking a job as a professor in Montreal now, so he's now teaching. The lead actress is Kate Tucker, who is a Nashville-based indie rocker. She has a band called Kate Tucker and the Sons of Sweden.
And she's out of Tennessee, and she's still there?
She is. She's
Okay.
still in Nashville, and she tours the country and makes albums and music videos, and she's awesome. Yeah.
So who are some of you? Did you have crew members? Did you do almost all the
I did
camera work
a
yourself?
lot of it myself. I had a small crew in Bellingham to help me out, but yeah, a lot of it. It was very skeleton crew. Again, it was an effort to make everything really small for the actors, like to not have 20 people milling around.
Oh, I've been on sets when it's kind of
it's
daunting
distracting,
in a way. It's
or
distracting.
yeah, it's too much, and so yeah, it was just every effort I could make to keep things really intimate. That's what I did.
You did a great job at that. So you've made 30 films, is that right?
Something like that.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know
So what are your
exactly.
strengths as a filmmaker, you think?
I think that, I guess my biggest this is a strange thing to talk about, but I guess my biggest strength is that I'm willing to take risks, big risks, and
Good.
that's why I like making
Go
movies,
big or go
because
home,
I like
right?
to. Yeah, I mean, I make the films I make because I want to see if they'll work and how they'll turn out, and I
Right.
make them because I would like to see them. They're things
Have
that
you surprised yourself and
wanna
said,
see.
"Wow, this turned out a lot better than I thought," or then the flip side?
Oh, believe me, I've had both. I've had things where I'm like, I love this, and I've finished films and thought, I probably will never show this to anybody.
Okay.
And, but, both processes were kind of equally rewarding.
But you learn from those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's about experimenting. That's why I don't work in Hollywood anymore. It's because I don't want to make films where the kind of commercial outcome of those movies is what drives my career. It's one of the reasons I like being an educator, is because it gives me the freedom to, I can make a living and I can make my films, and my films do not have to become,
compromised.
Yeah, they don't have to be compromised at all, because they don't support me financially. So I'm free to like take as many creative risks as I want to take.
You don't have to have that creative freedom written into the contract, or creative whatever they have.
It's just
it's
just
you.
there.
So you got it.
Yeah.
We know your strengths. Do you have what would you identify as one of your weaknesses as a filmmaker?
Well, I think it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. I'm guilty of taking on too many roles sometimes.
Okay.
I mean, like a lot of directors, I think I can be a bit of a control freak and a micromanager.
It's your creation.
Yeah, but I think you have to know when the film is going to be better if you hand off certain responsibilities to other people. Like sound design. Yeah, and so thankfully I had the kind of the foresight to do that on this movie, but I don't always. I know that that's a weakness of mine, that I don't always have that.
Okay.
That
right.
sometimes I do too much.
What is your favorite part of filmmaking then?
That changes. It changes from project to project. It used to be editing, because I really do think editing is the purest storytelling process. Editing,
well, they say that there's 3 films: the one that's written,
the
one that's shot, and the one that's edited together.
But did they also say the only one that matters is the one that's cut?
That's right. It is.
Who cares what was on the page, and who cares what happened on the set if nobody sees those things?
Is that right?
It's the film that's cut that is the film that people see. The editor is like the bottom of the funnel. If you have all the people that are making the film up here, and all of their efforts kind of drain down through this one person, and that one person is the gateway between all the work they've done and the audience. And the audience does not get to see anything that you did on the set if the editor doesn't allow that to be seen. And so it's an amazing process. One of the things I tell my students that want to be editors is that they need to take as many creative writing classes as they can, and they need to write and write and write some more. Because editing is basically writing with images and with sounds. It's no different than constructing paragraphs and stories. You're still thinking about what makes a good story structure.
Right.
You're thinking about what makes for a compelling character, and you do these things through building sounds and images together.
So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. I want to thank Dustin for being here. I want to thank Ellery Nelson, he's my director. Phil and Sue Holmes, they're my assistant directors. I want to thank Christo and Krista here at the studio. They helped set up the green screen and everything and all the images. I also want to, there's a bunch of other people down here at Tualatin Valley Community TV that I'd like to thank. I want to thank also the people at Portland Community Media. They are very helpful with me. Until next time on Portland Film Beat, shoot for the silver screen.